Hello everyone, my name is Nathan Bettini and today I'm going to talk about identity theft. To begin with, what is identity theft? Identity theft occurs when an unauthorized party uses any of your personal information, such as your name, address, social security number, or credit card or bank account information, to assume your identity in order to commit fraud or other criminal acts. ID thieves steal that information without the consent or permission from the victims. That leads us to, how does identity theft occur? Due to the nature of technology and the internet, and your personal information is always at risk. If you're not carefully monitoring your credit file, you may not notice you've been victimized until the damage is already done. Some of the most common ways are through data breach. A data breach happens when someone gains access to an organization's data without authorization. The most common types of information stolen in data breaches include full names, social securities, and credit card numbers. In 2018, there were 1,244 data breaches in the US, and more than 446 million records were exposed, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center. Because people have so many accounts with various businesses and other organizations, it's virtually impossible to keep your information safe from a data breach. But there are steps you can take to minimize your risk. Another another reason that it occurs would be through unsecure browsing. There are risky websites. You might share any information on an insecure website or a website that's been compromised by hackers. It could be putting your sensitive information directly in the hands of a thief. Depending on your browser, you may get an alert if you try to access a risky website, like the McAfee tool that it allows you to see if the app is dangerous or not. Another one would be through the dark web. The dark web is often where your personal info ends up after it's been stolen. Hackers may not necessarily be stealing your information to use it for themselves, but will instead choose to sell it to others who have potentially nefarious intentions. The dark web is a hidden network of websites that aren't accessible by normal browsers. People who visit the dark web use a special software to mask their identities and activity, making it a haven for fraudsters. If your information's up in the dark web marketplace, anyone could buy it, putting your identity in even more danger. Another one would be through malware activity. Fraudsters may use malware to steal your data or spy on your computer activity without you even realizing. Another one would be through credit card theft. One of the simplest forms of identity theft is credit card theft. If someone is able to gain access to your credit card information, they can use it to make unauthorized purchases. Common ways credit card thefts occur are through data breach, physical theft, credit card schemers, and via online retail accounts where card information is stored. Mail theft. Since long before the internet, identity thieves have been combing through the mail to find documents that held personal information. Bank and credit card statements and any other document you send or receive through the postal system can be intercepted and used to gain access to your data. The mail you throw away also can give you vulnerable, so be sure to shred any old email that may contain personal information. Phishing, this is one of the most common ways. Some scammers use email and text messages and other forms of electronic communication to steal your sensitive information. The message often looks like it's coming from a reputable source and asks victims to give up or more types of information. For example, a bogus email made to look like it's from your bank may include a link that directs you to a spoof website that looks just like the one it's mimicking. Once there, the website may ask you for your username and password, or to input your credit card information or your social security number. So if something seems suspicious, it might be an attempt for identity theft. It's that thing they call it's too good to be true. Wi-Fi hacking. If you use your computer or phone on a public network, airport, department store, or a coffee shop Wi-Fi, hackers may be able to eavesdrop on your connection. This means that if you type in a password, bank account, or credit card number, social security, or anything else, an eavesdropper can easily intercept it and use it for their own purposes. Another one, mobile phone theft. Smartphones are full of information for identity thieves, especially if your apps allow you to log in to automatically without a password or fingerprint. If someone managed to steal and unlock your phone, it could allow them to view the information found in your apps, as well as your emails, text messages, notes, and even more. Card skimming. Some thieves use a skimming device that can easily be placed over a card reader or an ATM or a fuel pump without looking out of the ordinary. When somebody swipes a debit or a credit card at a compromised machine, the scammer reads the information from the card's magnetic stripe and either stores it or transmits it. A criminal can then use that information to make purchases and do whatever he wants with that. So that leads us to how ID theft can affect you. Once someone has your information, they can do the following with it: open fraudulent credit cards, file phony health insurance claims, use your existing bank or credit card accounts to make unauthorized purchases, also sell it to other thieves, file a fraudulent tax return or steal your tax refund, change your mailing address of your credit card, open new accounts in your name, access your financial accounts and steal your money, commit child identity theft using your child's information. And depending on the type of theft that occurs and how the criminal uses your information, identity theft can result in immediate financial loss, damage to your credit, and emotional distress. It can also take anywhere from less than a day to several months or even years to resolve the issue. Which leads us to who's most at risk for identity theft. Most identity thefts are crimes of opportunity. Identity thieves often target those who don't regularly check for identity theft warning signs or are likely to report regular activity on their credit reports. Therefore, the ones who are most at risk are children and seniors. Children are targeted because identity thieves can use a child's social security number to establish a fraudulent clean slate. Identity thefts, Identity theft experts recommend parents monitor their children's credit reports to check for identity theft as often as their own. Seniors. Seniors are targeted most often over the phone and through the internet phishing scams. Some studies suggest that people become more trusting as they age, which explains why it's more difficult for older adults to detect fraudsters. Social media users, it's relatively easy for cyber criminals to discover a person's name, date of birth, phone number, hometown, and other sensitive information through social media and networking sites. And lastly, repeat victims. People who have previously been affected by identity theft are at greater risk for future identity theft and fraud because their information might still be out there. That leads us to where is ID theft most common? The Federal Trade Commission collects reports from customers on a range of marketplace experiences and stores them in a secure online database. The FTC data book statistics also include reports from other organizations, including federal, state, local, and international enforcement agencies. Out of 3 million reports last year, 15% are related to identity theft. According to the FTC, Georgia has the highest percentage of identity theft reports per capita, and California has the highest total number of reports. Identity theft statistics by states. Here we can see that Georgia has the highest number. Then it comes Nevada, California, Florida, Texas, Delaware, Maryland, Michigan, Illinois, and then Arizona. The numbers are on the screen. That leads us to a case of identity theft in the US. I thought it was really important to bring this. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Okay. There has been many cases of identity theft, but I think three of them stand out. First one is in 1999, Philip Cummins, a help desk worker at a software firm, took a spreadsheet of logins and passwords when he quit, granting him access to a number of credit reports. The criminals who sold the reports stole 50 to $100 million. No small sum for the 33,000 people whose report were stolen. In 2001, Abraham Abdallah duped several credit scores companies into providing them with information, and then used the identities of some of America's richest, including Warren Buffett and Steven Spielberg, to steal millions of dollars. The third one is Malcolm Bird. Malcolm Bird was sitting at home in 2003 when police officers came to his home and arrested him on a warrant for cocaine possession. Though eventually his name was cleared, Bird learned that a criminal though eventually his name was cleared, Bird learned that a criminal had used his name when he was arrested. He spent some time in jail before finally being released. That leads us to what can you do to prevent ID thefts? So some of the measures recommended are use password on your credit card, bank, and phone accounts. Never keep passwords, pins, or your social security number card in your wallet or purse. Learn about security procedures in your workplace. Never give your personal information on the phone, through mail, or the internet unless you know the receiver and you have initiated the contact. Guard your mail and trash from the theft. Shred or destroy discarded financial statements in your trash. Give your social security number only when it's necessary, and keep your purse or wallet in a safe place or at work. Leading us to clues that someone stole your account. If you think someone stole your account, these might be the clues. You see withdrawals from your bank account that you cannot explain. You don't get your bills or other mail. Merchants refuse your checks. Deb- Debit collectors call you about debts that aren't yours. You find unfamiliar account charges that on your credit report. Medical providers bill you for services you didn't use, and your health plan rejects your legitimate medical claim because the records show you've reached your benefits limits. What you should do if you're a victim. If you think you're falling victim to identity theft, the most important thing to do is to limit the potential damage. If a credit card or debit card was stolen, contact the card issuer and your bank immediately. Some banks may even allow you to lock your account through your mobile app until you can report the fraud. Next, you should double check your credit reports with the three credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, to confirm any type of unusual activity and get help dealing with the debt. If you find something is amiss, consider locking or freezing your credit. Alternatively, you can set up a fraud alert, which notifies lenders that you've been a victim of identity theft so they can take extra measures to verify your identity. And also remember that identity theft is a crime. So it's also a good idea to contact your local enforcement agency. While authorities may not be able to do much, they can take reports and be on the alert or suspicious activity that could involve your name or address. Before you do report a crime, reach out to the FTC to file a report. The agency will provide steps you need to take and paperwork to file reports, including how to deal with police reports and help you dispute fraudulent charges. And this is my presentation. Here's my reference. Thank you so much for watching.